attack in Paris today. It's anyone's guess as to whether it was terror-related. The president has no doubts. He was saying that it sure looks like another terrorist attack, quoting from the president. Police on the scene there are refusing to describe it as such for the time being, but this happened in the Champs-Élysées shopping district here. One officer dead, the guy who shot him also dead, another assailant at large. I want to get the read from all of this, or at least how he can connect it, and maybe the timing ahead of big French elections of the weekend. Former FBI Assistant Director James Kallstrom. James, what do you think?
Yeah, hi, Neil. Well, it sure looks like terrorism. I'm sure they're waiting to, officially dig into some more information to come to that conclusion, but I wouldn't expect it would take too long to get there. I mean, it's very, very tough, as you know, Neil, to fight an ideology. And this is just going to continue. It's going to continue in France. It's going to continue throughout Europe. It's going to continue in the United States and elsewhere. And it's a very, very serious matter. And, it ties in with a lot of other things that President Trump is talking about. The southern border, the ease at which, other than Mexicans and numerous, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people from the Middle East have come across that border lately. And in the past a few years, so there's so much other stuff available beyond just weapons. It seems to have been the guns and knives have been what we've talked about lately, what we've seen lately. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be things that, not to shock the public, but it can be things that are a lot more grave than that.
James, we are getting word right now, confirmed to Fox News, that the attacker was known by the Secret Service. They're trying to detail just what was known and who knew it. But it would fit a pattern we've seen in some of the recent attacks, for example, in Belgium, even the Louvre attack that was thwarted by a very quick-thinking policewoman at the time, a constable. But that we're familiar, or authorities in these cities are familiar with the assailant or alleged assailants.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, I don't know if it's 100%, but it seems like, at least my memory tells me that pretty much, if you look back a few years, all these people were on the radar of one service or another. In most cases, all those in the United States, the FBI had touched and known about, and in most cases had dropped the investigations. And that's another whole story about why things like that are dropped and why they're not passed on, and the circumstances of the Attorney General guidelines and how those things need to change. And so these are very complicated matters, but this is tough stuff, and it's here we are. I've said publicly that President Obama handed President Trump basically a basket full of grenades, and most of the pins were pulled. Look at North Korea. I mean, just look at that whole issue and how presidents all the way back to Clinton have really not held up their bargain with the American people to protect us from things like this. When that last parade took place just a few days ago there in North Korea, according to experts that I've read and heard from on that subject, most of those missile launches, the mobile missile launches, which is the real big problem for us, it's not so much the ones that are in silos, but those are all made in China, and they're all relatively new. So, talk is cheap.